Hello, welcome back to the next class. Today we are going to start the topic compensation management part 3. This is actually the continuation to the previous two classes. So all the topics that we are going to discuss in today's class are mentioned here for your reference. Now let's get into the class. Before directly entering into today's class, let us have a quick recap of all the topics that we have been discussing in the previous two classes, which are compensation management part 1 and compensation management part 2. See, we have started this entire topic of compensation related things, by what do you mean by compensation? That means we started by trying to understand what is basically compensation or what basically compensation means. And then we looked after the definition of compensation, and then we also covered so many different general topics like what is the importance of compensation, what is the importance of compensation management in organizations, and then we moved on to certain other topic called as what are the general principles guiding wage fixation or general principles of compensation in organizations. And then we moved on to the second part of compensation management, where we exclusively discussed only about the theories related to compensation, that is the wage theories. So today, in today's class, we will be discussing about all the leftover important topics as well as certain miscellaneous topics at the end of today's class. So let's move to the theory and let's look after each and every topic in detail. So the first topic that we are going to discuss in today's class is something called as components of compensation or salary structure. That means, see, this entire heading or the name of this particular topic refers to all the components or all the things that we basically see in a compensation structure, in a salary structure. That means, in simple terms, for example, take your salary slip, pay slip. Okay, now in your payslip you will be looking after, or you will basically be observing so many different components like basic, DNS allowance, travel allowance, conveyance allowance, and you'll also be having your taxes, you'll also be having your PF contributions. In certain cases, for certain employees, they'll also be having their ESI contributions. In this way, you will be having so many different things which vary from organization to organization, and also which vary from job to job. That means a top level management, a top level management employees payslip will have more components when compared to a middle or a lower level employees payslip. Okay, so that is what I'm telling. All the components of the salary structure vary from organization to organization and also from job to job. So now let's look after the most common components of a salary structure, or the most commonly seen components of compensation. See, salary structure is the details of the salary being offered. Okay, so some of the components of the salary structure include, so we will be looking after the different most commonly seen components of compensation. There may be many more, but we will be looking after certain basic things. See, the first and foremost component of compensation or component of salary structure, the most common thing, for the first thing that we look, or the first thing that comes to our eye, is the basic salary. See, basic salary is the base income of an employee, comprising of around 35 to 50% of the total salary. Okay, now it is a fixed amount that is paid prior to any reductions or increase due to bonus, overtime, and allowances. That means, see, whenever we see a salary slip or pay slip, the first and foremost thing that we see is something called as base pay or basic. See, this particular basic is a fixed amount. Now this particular fixed amount is fixed with respect to a particular job. What do I mean? What I mean is that, see, this particular basic salary, or this particular basic component is there, right? It is usually a fixed amount with respect to one particular job. That means each and every job in the organization will be having one particularly fixed basic pay, and all the other components, not all the components, but most of the other components are basically calculated using this particular basic basic component in the compensation. See, basic salary is determined based on the designation of the employee and the industry in which he or she works in. Okay, now most of the other components like allowances are based on the basic salary. This amount is fully taxable. Okay, so this is basically the first and foremost component of this salary structure or compensation that you will be observing in any compensation. The second thing is, the second, see, there is no particular order that you have to follow telling that this should only be first component, this should only be second component, but generally these are the most commonly seen components in any salary slip or any pay slip, or in any compensation given to an employee, or in any wage structure given to an employee. So the second thing that you are going to find is allowances. Now, see, allowance is an amount payable to the employees during the course of their regular job duty. It can be partially or fully taxable depending on what type it is. Now, allowances provided and the limits on it will differ from company to company according to their policies. Okay, so these particular allowances are there, right? These are extra things that are given to the employees during their duty. Now there are so many different types of allowances. Now what are the different types of allowances that we can that we usually see, or that you can see in a salary structure or in a pay slip or a salary slip? See, one of the most commonly seen allowance is something called as the dearness allowance. See, dearness allowance is basically the allowance paid to the employees, to deal with the inflation. Okay, to deal with the increasing and decreasing inflation in the country. Certain amount is fixed, and it is actually combined with the salary, or basically it is also included in the salary given to this employee. Now see, you have to keep this in mind, telling that, see, generally dearness allowance is given by the government to its employees. In most of the private sector companies, you will not be having a component called as DA in their in their salary slip or pay slip. See, dearness allowance is a certain percentage of the basic salary paid to the employees, the basic component, the first component in the compensation that we have discussed, right? So basically this particular dearness allowance is there, right? It is actually calculated as a certain percentage of the basic component. See, aimed at mitigating the impact of inflation. That means in order to deal with the inflation, this particular dearness allowance concept is used, or this particular dearness allowance component is introduced. Now it is paid by the government to the employees of public sector and the pensioners of the same. Okay, now another type of allowance that we can commonly see is something called as house rent allowance. Okay, the allowance that is given to the employees in order to deal with the accommodation charges. See, a house rent allowance is that component of the salary which is paid to the employees for meeting the cost of renting a home. Okay, now it offers tax benefits to the employees for the sum that they pay towards their accommodation every year. That means, or basically in simple terms, they can exempt the tax on this particular component. Okay, see, salaried individuals residing in rented homes can claim this exemption and reduce their tax liability. Okay, now the next common component relating to allowances that we can see in compensation is conveyance allowance. Okay, see, conveyance allowance, also known as transport allowance. Remember, this conveyance allowance is also called as transport allowance. See, it is a kind of allowance offered by the employers to their employees to compensate for their travel expense to and from their residence and workplace. That means, for example, to give you in simple terms, certain organizations, what they do is they will actually estimate one fare, or basically estimate an amount that is charged to the employee, or that is basically bared by the employee in order to come to the office and go to the office, and they will calculate how much will that particular total be for a month, and they'll include that in the salary. So that particular component which is given in order to deal with the charges to and fro between the workplace and the residence is generally termed as conveyance allowance. Okay, so the next kind of allowance that we can see in any salary structure or in any compensation package is something called as leave travel allowance. Now leave travel allowance is eligible for tax exemption. Okay, that means the employees can exempt tax on this particular component also. See, it is offered by the employers to their employees to cover the latest travel expense when he or she is on leave from work. So in simple terms, some organizations, what they do is they basically provide the travel charges when the employees are on leave. Now the amount paid as leave travel allowance is exempt from tax. Okay, now leave travel allowance only covers domestic travel, and the mode of travel needs to be air, railway, or public transport. Okay, now the another kind of allowance that we can also see in compensation, or that we can also observe in a in a salary structure or in a pay slip or a salary slip, is something called as medical allowance. See, medical allowance is the fixed allowance paid to the employees of an organization to meet their medical expenditure. Now see, this particular medical allowance and the previous allowance, leave travel allowance, on all these kind of allowances are there, right? So what basically happens is some organizations directly provide these as components in the salary slip, or in some other cases some organizations, what they do is they will basically inform the employees, telling that, see, in case you incur any medical expenses, or in case you incurred any leave travel expenses, and after you provide us with supporting documents, we will reimburse all the amount that you have incurred in this way. So organizations sometimes do this, and organizations sometimes do follow this particular method. So basically these are also allowances. Okay, now These are the different allowances. Okay, now coming back to our main topic, which is the components of compensation. See, within the components of compensation, we have discussed about all the different components, like basic, and we also have discussed about something called as allowances, and within allowances we have looked after so many different things which come under allowances. Okay, now let's come back to the our main topic, the components of compensation, where the next component that we can observe in the compensation or salary structure in an organization is something called as gratuity. Now, if you don't know what do you mean by gratuity, or if you do not have a clear picture of gratuity, see, gratuity is generally a payment made out of grace that is paid to an employee in return for his services rendered to the organization on the completion of 5 years. That means whenever an employee completes 5 years of service in an organization, the organization, out of gratitude or out of grace, pays him certain amount. Now you will be having a particular formula relating to this particular gratuity, on how much amount should be paid to the employees at the as a part of gratuity. That will be dealing when we are when we go to the last part and all. But basically I'm trying to tell that, see, gratuity is also one of the components that we can see in the compensation of the, or basically in the compensation or the salary structure of the employees in an organization. Generally, most commonly you will not be seeing any component called as gratuity in your payslip. But when you consider the CTC, see, I'm not telling that this is the right way, but this is the most common thing that happens outside in reality. When you look at the CTC, that is the cost, cost to the company on you, then you can basically find a component called as gratuity. That means how much the organization is spending on you relating to gratuity. There you can see. But generally in most of the cases, in your monthly salary slip or in your monthly pay slip, you will not be seeing any component called as gratuity in general. But in certain cases, based on the organization, you may see, but generally you will not be seeing any component relating to gratuity. But it is also considered as a component of the salary structure or compensation, because that is also a kind of payment that organization is planning to give you. Okay, now gratuity is a lump sum benefit paid by the employers to the employees who are retiring from the organization. Now, retiring doesn't always mean after 60 years and all these things. Okay, there is a concept called as voluntary retirement. If you don't know, please look after it. And not only retirement, but for example, if I have worked in an organization for 5+ years, for example 6 years, and I quit the job, so that I could move to a different job, or basically I do not want to work anymore, whatever the reason it is, I have worked for 6 years in an organization and I quit the job. Okay, now I am not the part of that particular organization anymore, but I have served more than 5 years, right? So I will be receiving an amount, since I have completed this particular condition, or since I have justified this particular condition of minimum 5 years work in an organization, or minimum 5 years of service in an organization, then I will be receiving an amount which is termed as gratuity. Okay, now this is only payable to those who have completed 5 or more years with the company. Okay, I have told you, right, the 5 years thing. Now the gratuity amount is paid in gratitude for the services rendered by the individual during the period of employment. So this is the gratuity component. Now the next commonly seen component in the compensation or in the salary structure of an organization is something called as employee provident fund. You will be seeing this as PF in the salary slip. Okay, now employee provident fund is an employee benefit scheme where the investments are made by both the employer and the employee each month. Now again I'm telling you, if you do not have any clarity relating to this particular provident fund, when we go to the labor laws part, we will be having a clear we will basically be having an entire act relating to this provident fund. So in order to give you a simple or basic idea of this particular provident fund, it is basically an employee benefit scheme where a certain percentage, basically a 12%, or is deducted from your salary, as well as the same amount is contributed by the employer, and both these amounts go into a fund, and this basically acts as a benefit scheme under different conditions. Like for example, you have when you retire, or when you have any emergency, family emergency and all these things. So basically it is like an employee benefit scheme where funds are allocated in a particular place. Okay, which is basically managed by employee provident fund organization and all these things. Now see, it is a savings platform that aids employees to save a portion of their salary each month, from which withdrawals can be made following a month from the date of cessation of their services or upon retirement. Okay, now at least 12% of the employee's basic salary is automatically deducted and goes to the employee provident fund every month. Okay, now the contributions are maintained by the employees provident fund organization. So what happens is, in your payslip, you will be looking after PF, right? For example, you see an amount like 2000 rupees. Okay, if you see that 2000 rupees has been deducted from your salary as a part of your contribution, employees contribution for PF. Now the same amount the employer also will contribute. Okay, now both these amounts combinedly will go into this particular PF fund, and then it will be read. When we go to the last part, you will understand, because that percentage of the amount from the employer side, that means 2000, from the 2000 that has been deducted from your salary will go into your PF account. The 2000, the same amount that has been contributed by the employer for you will again be divided into different parts, and that again will go into different sources and all these things. You will be confused if I talk here. So when we go to the labor laws part, we will be having a clear explanation of this provident fund. So for now, just try to understand that we are talking only about one of the component that we can see in the salary structure, or in the compensation plan of an organization. And then this particular provident fund is basically an employee benefit scheme or a saving scheme, where equal amounts of contributions are done from both the employee side and employer side. So basically we have to here limit our thoughts, telling that okay, here we are only looking after one of the component in this particular subject of human resource management, in this unit of compensation management. That much basic idea is enough. When we go to the labor laws part, we will be having a clear defined explanation for this entire concept of provident fund. Okay, now see, the next component that we can basically see in the compensation or the salary structure of an organization is the most common one, the professional tax. Now professional tax is a tax levied on the income earned by the salaried employees and professionals, including chartered accountants, doctors and lawyers, etc., to the state government. Okay, now different states have varying methods of calculating professional tax. Okay, now employers deduct professional tax at prescribed rates from the salary paid to the employees and pay it on their behalf to the state government. That means in the salary that is given to you by the organizations, what they what organizations basically do is they will automatically deduct the tax from your salary itself, and then pay the rest amount to you, and they will pay the tax on your behalf to the government. This happens in most of the cases. Now see, the next the next basic component that you are going to look after in any wage structure, or in any compensation in an organization, is the perks, the most common things, perquisites. See, perks, also referred as fringe benefits. Perks are also called as fringe benefits. Okay, now perks, also referred as fringe benefits, are the benefits that some employees enjoy as a result of their official position. Always remember, some employees enjoy as a result of their official position. Now there is no rule that the perks should be given to each and every employee in an organization. This depends from, or this varies from organization to organization, and also mainly job to job. In most of the cases, more number of perks, or basically perks, are given after an employee crosses a particular position or a particular level in an organization. Okay, now these are generally non-cash benefits given in addition to the cash salary. Okay, now some examples of perquisites include provision of car for personal use, rent-free accommodation, payment of premium on personal accident policy, etc. Now the monetary value of the perks get added to the salary, and tax is paid on them by the employee. Okay, so these are the basic most commonly seen components in any compensation or in any wage structure or any salary structure in an organization. Now I'm again telling you, there may be so many more components in the salary. For example, see, for certain employees you'll also be having this particular component called as ESI, employee state insurance, and there will be certain amount relating to that particular ESI component. In this way, there will be so many so many other different components in any compensation plan or in any salary structure in an organization. But here we are only discussing the most commonly seen things. Okay, now this is basically the topic of the components of compensation, or the components of salary structure in an organization. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is called as the types of compensation, or the different forms of compensation. So before directly entering into the next topic, which is the types or forms of compensation, let me give you certain clarity. See, till now we have discussed the first topic that we have discussed in today's class. What is that? The components of compensation. From now on, we will be discussing the second topic, which is the types or forms of compensation. See, I want to give this clarification, telling that most of the people interchange these two things, or most of the people get confused between these two things. Most of the people think that all these things are same, but they're basically not the same. See, basically in our first topic we have basically discussed the different components of the compensation. That means in simple terms, if you open your salary slip, what are the different components that you see, that we have discussed under the topic name of different components of compensation, or different components of wage structure, salary structure in an organization. Okay, that is the basic topic that we have discussed till now. Now we will be discussing the next topic, a different topic, which is called as different types or different forms of compensation. Now to basically break down this entire topic that we are going to discuss now, what we will be discussing is, see, we will be discussing that under this topic of different forms or different types of compensation. We will be discussing that, see, out of all the compensation, or basically the compensation offered by the organization to its employees can be divided into two categories or two forms, which is for the first the first category or the first type or the first form of compensation is something called as financial compensation, and the second part is called as non-financial compensation. That means what I am trying to tell is, see, company, the organization or the company pays you certain compensation, right? Now within that particular within that all compensation, within that entire compensation that the organization pays you, you will be having certain different categories. You will be having certain part of the compensation that is being paid to you in the form of financial aspect, and you will also be having certain part of the compensation that is paid to you in the form of non-financial component. Okay, now we have just discussed, right, out of all the compensation that is given to you by the organization has basically two types or two forms. One is the financial part, financial compensation, and the second one is non-financial part or the non-financial compensation, right? Now within this financial part, we basically understand, right, financial and non-financial. That means financial compensation basically means the compensation in monetary terms, everything related to money. Now non-financial compensation means the part of your salary which is which does not has any monetary value but still has a value. Okay, does not have monetary value but still has a value. This financial compensation, this this part has monetary value related to money. Okay, now this entire compensation into two forms or two types, two categories. First one is financial compensation, second one is non-financial compensation. Financial compensation deals with monetary terms, non-financial compensation does not deal with monetary terms, right? Now this financial compensation, the first part is there, right? Now within these financial compensation part, you will again be having two different categories or two different types. What, see, when I basically tell that a part of the compensation that the organization offers you has financial part and non-financial part. Now within financial part, you'll again be having two parts. That is what I basically told now. Now how can we tell that, or basically how to understand this two parts or two types within the financial compensation? See, for example, the organization offers you so many different components that we have discussed previous topic, right? You have basic salary, dearness allowance, conveyance allowance. In this way, these these kind of allowances, by the end of the month in your salary, you are receiving them as money, right? That means basically you are getting your basic the component, the basic salary component, the the conveyance allowance, that particular component, and you'll also be having this particular dearness allowance component. In this way, certain components you are basically getting in the form of money, right? That means you are getting money in the form of these components, you are getting in the form of money, right? Now this is first part, or first type within the financial compensation. Now there will also be other types or other components within the financial compensation which also have monetary value, but you will not be getting in your hand by the end of the month. Okay, like for example, some organizations give paid vacations. That means they'll tell that, okay, by at the end of this particular year, you can go to vacation to this particular restaurant, to this particular hill station. We, the company, we will be paying for that. There also monetary value is involved, but you are not getting that particular that particular component as, or basically in the form of money. Okay, directly in the form of money you are not getting. The company is paying for your vacation, but they are not giving you money. They are they are sending you, they are providing you with all the facilities, but the payment part the organization is doing. That is also monetary value, but you are not getting directly money, right? That is indirect monetary value that you are getting, right? So these kind of components will also be present in certain cases. So basically what I'm trying to tell is, see, this entire compensation is of two types: financial compensation, non-financial compensation. Now within the financial compensation, we will again be having two types, where the first type refers to all the direct monetary part, and the second part refers to the indirect monetary part. Whereas when we come to the second type of the compensation, which is non-financial compensation, there you don't have any monetary value involved. There you will be having something called as, status recognitions, and giving the employees the opportunities to take part in the management decisions in this way. So I have just broken down this entire concept to you, before we directly enter into the theory part. Now let's get into the theory part, where we can basically see the theory for our reference. See, the types or forms of compensation. See, you have understood, right? I have just given you this entire topic in simple terms in the explanation that we just previously had. Now let's look at the theory part. See, compensation can be classified into two categories: financial compensation and non-financial compensation. Okay, now let's discuss about the financial compensation. Okay, see, financial compensation is the most popular and important compensation that is given in the form of money. Okay, now it is the most important motivational factor that satisfies employees' basic needs like food, clothing, etc. It is further categorized into two parts: direct and indirect compensation. I gave you, right? See, if you did not understand this entire topic, please go back and watch again. And if you're still confused, please ask me in comments. But basically what I'm trying to tell is, I'm again repeating, sorry, but basically I'm trying to tell that, see, compensation, two different types: financial compensation, non-financial compensation. Within financial compensation, again, you'll again be having two subtypes, which is, one involves direct monetary part, one involves indirect monetary part. Okay, which is called as direct compensation and indirect compensation. Within this first first type of entire compensation, which is financial compensation. See, the first type within financial compensation is something called as direct compensation. Now, direct compensation means compensating the employees by paying them money in the form of, in the following forms, like, you have salary, you have wage, you have dearness allowance. You will also be having other different elements, like, for example, conveyance allowance and all these things, bonus, commissions, pay incentives and all these things, etc. That means all the parts that you receive in the form of money, direct money. Now, the indirect compensation, okay, the second part of this, this financial compensation. See, the indirect financial and non-financial payments the employees receive for continuing their employment with the company, which are an important part of every employee's compensation. That means these are also, or basically these also play a very major role in the entire compensation part. Now, other terms such as fringe benefits, employee services, supplementary compensation, and supplementary pay are used. That means, see, in most of the cases you will be hearing things like, fringe benefits, supplementary benefits, all right. So basically there are the different names for this indirect compensation. They all come under the financial compensation, and within financial compensation they are indirect pays that the organization pays to the employees, also called as fringe benefits or supplementary benefits and all. Now, some of the most popular indirect compensation, or in other words, some of the most commonly seen fringe benefits or supplementary benefits in organizations by offered by today's organizations are: you have social security. You see, social security in the sense we have discussed, right? Provident fund. You'll also be having employees, employee state insurance and all these things. All these things are the things that the organization is, indirectly offering you, but you'll not be receiving any monetary. For example, see, you will be having, deductions of PF in your, in your salary. For example, let's take the previous, example I told you, right? For example, an amount of 2,000 is being deducted from your salary as, PF contribution. Now the organization is also paying the same amount, I told you, right? That means the organization is also paying the 2,000 rupees, the same 2,000 rupees that is being deducted from you, right? Now, see, here also the organization is providing you with certain monetary value, but you are not receiving them in the form of money. That means you are not getting that in the form of money by the end of the month or by the starting of the month as a salary in your hand in the form of money, but you are getting monetary value, right? But the only difference is you're not getting in the form of money directly. Okay, so these are the basic, common examples of indirect compensations that the organization provide, like, social security. We'll also be having workers compensation. That means, in if anything happens to the employees during their work, the organizations, in certain cases provide, different benefits for their families and all these things in this way. Now you'll also be having something called as retirement plans. You'll also be having paid holidays. You'll be having paid vacations. you know, and other benefits like, you know, food services, exercise facilities, the gyms, clubs, and all these things, you know, health and first aid services, financial and legal advice, and, you know, purchase discounts, etc. So all these things carry monetary value, but, you know, the organization does not give you in the form of direct money. So that is why we have, you know, termed all these things as indirect compensations. Now, this direct and indirect compensations are a part of financial compensations. Okay. Now, let's move to the second type or the second form of the compensation, which is non-financial compensation. See, non-financial compensation. Non-financial compensation refers to compensating employees not in the form of money, but in some other forms that stimulate the employee's morale and also improve his performance. So here basically we do not involve monetary values. Okay. Now it can be in the following forms. That means some examples of, you know, non-financial compensations can be like, you know, job security, recognition, participation in the sense, you know, giving the employees the opportunity of, you know, being included in the management decisions and all these things. And we'll also be having something called as pride in job, delegation of responsibility, etc. So this is this particular topic, a very small and easy topic, which is the types or forms of compensation. Now most of the people get confused between this particular topic and the first topic, which is different components in the compensation. See, there are so many different compensation, you know, components in the compensation. That means when you basically open a salary slip of an employee, you will be having so many different components, and each and every component will be having its own, you know, amounts. For example, you will be having first component as basic, you will be having some 10,000. Again, you will be having something called as dearness allowance, you will be having, so like for example some 2,000 or 3,000. Then you will be having conveyance allowance 3,000. In this way, if you open the salary slip of an employee, you will be having so many different components. Now that is the first topic that we have discussed. That is the topic called as components of compensation, components of salary structure. That means there we will be learning about all the different components that are basically present in the compensation structure. Now this particular topic, the types or forms of compensation, means, see, within all the components that you basically see, in simple terms, that you basically see in a salary slip, some of them are, you know, direct monetary payments given to the employees, some of them are indirect monetary payments given to the employees. Now all these, you know, all these components which are directly related to the, you know, financial part are generally, you know, come under this type of financial compensation. And within the financial compensation, you'll also be having certain components which directly give you money, certain components which give you monetary value, but they do not come in the form of money, like for example paid vacations and all these things. Okay, we have discussed it. So this is basically the difference between the two, you know, the two topics that we have discussed till now. Most of the people get confused. That is why I am, you know, telling you again and again, telling that, see, this is basically the difference between the two topics. Don't get confused. Now let's move on to the last, you know, last part of today's class, which are the miscellaneous topics, or you know, basically some of the important topics that, you know, any HR interviewer or, you know, any organization basically expects the employees to know relating to HR. Now see, we will be going to discuss about, you know, these particular things like, you know, the miscellaneous topics in compensation, like, you know, strategic compensation, executive compensation, broad banding, you know, employee stock ownership plans. What do you mean by golden parachutes? You know, what do you mean by golden handshakes, and what are golden handcuffs? Now, let's look after each and every of these miscellaneous topics. You see, these particular miscellaneous topics are there, right? See, these play a very important role when it comes to interviews. Okay, and also objective kind of examinations. And if you take, you know, subjective kind, you may expect each of them as shorts, telling that, you know, write about golden parachutes for 2 marks or 4 marks, very short answers. Okay, so let us look after each of these miscellaneous topics, you know, in a simple basic way. Okay, now, so the first miscellaneous topic that we are going to discuss today relating to this compensation is strategic compensation. See, we have an entire separate subject called as strategic human resource management, where we will be learning about this particular concept, this particular, you know, miscellaneous topic of strategic compensation in a much more detailed way. So we will just look after the basic meaning or the basic fundamental of this, you know, particular strategic compensation. See, strategic compensation means involving strategies while formulating the compensations in an organization. That means, for example, or to give you in a, you know, simplified way, see, we have, you know, discussed about the different components of compensation, right? So basically in organization, a compensation package or a salary structure contains so many different components. Now the organization involves and uses different strategies in order to plan different components in a particular way where it serves as a motivational purpose in terms of employees. That means it acts as a motivating agent or motivating element to the employees, as well as it also acts as a cost cutting thing to the organization. In this way, organizations involve or implement so many different strategies in order to take out so many positive outcomes relating to compensation. That is basically strategic compensation in a very simplified manner. Okay, that is the basic that is the basic understanding of this particular strategic compensation. That means involving strategies in compensation so that it will be beneficial to the employees as well as the organization. That means using the compensation in a much more effective and efficient manner, using strategies for the benefit of both organization as well as the employees. That is basically the meaning of the first miscellaneous topic, strategic compensation. Now the second miscellaneous topic that we need to understand is something called as executive compensation. See, executive compensation is also it's also a compensation, but it is basically the compensation which is planned or which is given to the executives or the top level management in the organizations. Now why do we have a separate term called as executive compensation? Because the executive compensation is much more different when compared to the compensation given to the normal employees in the organization. Why? There are so many different or basically there are so many changes or so many differences between the compensation given to a normal level employee and the top management or executive, very senior most position holding employee. For example, see, for example, let's consider a middle level employee, or let's consider an assistant manager, or a trainee. Now the compensation, the different components, or the different proportions of different components, or different perks, or different benefits, different all the other components given to this particular middle level employee will definitely be different from different components in the this entire compensation package given to the senior most employee, right? Executive level employee, right? Now there will be so many different changes which may vary from organization to organization. For example, some organizations will give more number of perks, more number of benefits to the executives as a part of their executive compensation when compared to the normal compensation. In this way, the compensation which is entirely designed for executives in an organization is generally termed as executive compensation, where there will be so many different changes, or each and every component will be different when compared to the compensation or the components in the compensation given to the normal employee. For example, the benefits offered to the middle level or low level employee in an organization can be like paid vacation once a year. Okay, in this way. Now the benefits offered to an executive or basically the executive in an organization as a part of executive compensation may be whenever you go on a vacation, the organization will pay. In this way, the compensation varies from normal employees and executives in an organization. So the compensation which is particularly directed towards the executives in an organization is generally termed as executive compensation, and it is completely different in composition of different components in the compensation when compared to the normal level employees. So that is generally the basic meaning of the term executive compensation. Okay, that is the second miscellaneous topic. Now the next miscellaneous topic that we are going to discuss is something called as broad banding. Now what do you mean by broad banding? See, broad banding in simple terms means consolidating the different salaries into different salary ranges, or consolidating the compensations, consolidating the wages in the organization. Now how do we understand this? Let me give you a simple example. For example, I am the owner of my organization. Broad banding in my organization means, see, in my organization, the low level management, the low level employees, all the low level employees salaries range from 10,000 per month to 50,000 per month. The salaries of all the middle level employees or middle level management in my organization range from 50,000 per month to 1 lakh per month. The salaries of all the top management employees in my organization range from 1 lakh per month to 3 lakhs per month. Now see, I have basically told you just the salary ranges of three different groups of jobs. That means low level, middle level, top level. I told you my my low level salary range. That means all the or basically the salaries of the low level employees in my organization fall from 10,000 to 50,000 rupees, right? See, within this 10,000 to 50,000 bracket, there will be so many different jobs and so many different salaries to that particular jobs, right? So what I'm basically doing here, I have basically clubbed different salaries or basically consolidated different salaries into a single salary range, by basically classifying or basically categorizing different salaries into different bands. That is basically the meaning of broad banding, where we consolidate different salaries into salary ranges. This is basically broad banding. See, I just gave you an example like middle level management, low level management, top level management. That is just an example. The way the organization broadbands, its compensation, salaries and all these things, it varies from organization to organization. But usually in general sense, broadbanding is done in that particular way, where an organization will be having so many different salaries. Now what they'll do is they will start establishing ranges, telling that okay, for these kind of jobs salary ranges are from these to these. In this way they will take different salaries and they will basically start to create bands. They will start to consolidate different salaries into different ranges. That is basically called as broad banding. Okay, now the next miscellaneous topic that we are going to discuss is something called as ESOPs, that is employee stock ownership programs or employee stock ownership plans. See, ESOPs are generally retirement benefits offered to the employees at the time of their retirement. And I'm again telling you, retirement doesn't all. Whenever I tell that organization is offering something to the employees after their retirement, it may also include voluntary retirement and discontinuing of the job of the employees. That means they have stopped working after serving a long period of time in this way. Okay, so basically ESOPs, employee stock ownership programs or employee stock ownership plans, are generally retirement benefits offered by the organization to these employees, where the organizations initially start depositing certain number of stocks, their own company stocks, into a certain fund. Once this particular employee retires, the organization will hand over this particular employee, telling that see, we have saved certain stocks on your name, our company stocks. Since you have served in our organization, we are giving you this as one of the retirement benefit, okay. So these are basically ESOPs. And always remember that it is not mandatory that the organization has to provide ESOPs to each and every employee who served in the organization. Now it again varies from organization to organization, and it also varies from job to job. Okay, now this is basically the concept of ESOPs, employee stock ownership plan, where the organization offers the stocks of its own company as one of the retirement benefits to its employees. Okay, this is another miscellaneous topic that you need to have a basic idea of relating to this human resource management compensation part. Now next comes the main parts, which are golden parachutes, golden handshakes, and golden handcuffs. Now see, what do you mean? Let's start with golden parachutes. See, what is the basic purpose of parachute in an airplane? In case of emergency, it saves us. Okay, so basically golden parachute is also a similar kind of thing. See, I'll give you a simple example. I'm a very big organization and I came to hire you. Now you may have certain doubt, telling that okay, see, I am a very reputed manager in the entire competitive market, and I am leaving my present job, and I have to go to his particular company. Now that is a kind of risk for me. Now if I join his particular company, now in case of certain mergers, acquisitions in this way, now what if I lose a job, I lose my job? In that case, what happens? That is a risk for my career. So the person here in this scenario, you may have that particular doubt, right? If you come to my organization and if some unexpected thing happens, what is the security for you? So in that particular case, the company who is planning to hire you, what it does is it tells that okay, in such cases of emergencies, unexpected emergencies, like the change of the entire management, in case of mergers, acquisitions, if any those kind of things create a problem to your employment, your job, then in that particular case I will offer you this much amount of money. So please consider it as a security, so that security before entering to my organization, that okay, if you enter into my organization, you do not need to worry what happens if certain mergers, acquisitions happens, and the new management that comes into force does not like you or removes you, as top manager in the organization. You don't need to have that fear. If that situation arises, I will pay you this much amount of money. In this way, the employer, me in this example, and you will have a written contract telling that if something happens like these things, now I will be paying you this much of amount as security. Okay, now this payment, this entire thing is generally referred as a golden parachute. Okay, so basically golden parachute is a huge amount of money that is guaranteed to an employee. Okay, now in the form of a contract that if in case of any emergencies or in case of any situations where the employee, the person about to join, loses his job, like mergers, acquisitions, change of the top management, in this way, in these kind of situations, if the new joining employee or if the the executive, if executive loses his job due to these kind of unexpected situations, then the organization offers him this much amount. All these things will be written in a contract. So this is basically something called as a golden parachute. Okay, now this is one miscellaneous topic. Now the next thing is golden handcuff. Golden handcuff is an entirely opposite thing to golden parachute. See, in golden parachute, what happens? Basically, golden parachute means simply, telling that, okay, if in any case of unexpected thing like, merger, acquisition, change in the top management, entire change in the control of the organization, people who control the organization, if anything, happens in that particular way, and if you lose your job, I will pay you this much. The organization to the employee pays this much. Okay, this is basically golden parachute, right? See, if you come into my organization and if you leave before this particular stipulated period of time, you have to pay the organization this much. See, we should not actually tell this, but just for your simple understanding, okay, this is not the same. I'm giving you just for the simple understanding. For example, certain companies, when we go to jobs, they offer us bonds, right, telling that, okay, if you leave the job before 1 year or before 2 years, you have to pay the organization this much, right? So these bonds and golden handcuffs are not the same, but just for a simple understanding, it is a kind of that thing. Okay, where the organization gets into a contract telling that if you leave our organization within this stipulated period of time, then you have to pay the organization this much. Now when does this particular golden handcuff come into picture? When an employee is, or when an executive is very highly skilled, or is very valuable asset, then the organization generally gets into these kind of contracts telling that, see, and since you are a very valuable assets, since you have very high skills, now we need to come into an contract, we need to come into a mutual contract telling that, see, you will not be leaving our organization in this particular stipulated period of time. This is basically something called as golden handcuff, which is completely an opposite thing to golden parachute. Now comes the next and the last miscellaneous topic, which is something called as golden handshake. See, we have a clear picture of, or basically we have an idea of golden parachute, right? Now in golden parachute, basically what I told you, in cases of unexpected events like mergers, acquisitions, change of management, and if an employee, or see, when we are talking about golden parachutes or golden handshakes or golden golden handcuffs, generally these kind of things come into picture when only executives or very high level employees, or very very topmost people are involved. Okay, for normal people, you'll not be hearing golden parachutes, golden handshakes, golden handcuffs, and all these things. When we talk about very important positions, very important people, high level management, executives, these things come into picture usually. Okay, organizations bring in these terms, or bring in these all these kind of things when top positions in the organization, or very executive, very important people are involved. Okay, coming back to the topic, which is the golden handshakes. See, basically golden parachutes, we know golden parachutes means offering monetary things. Golden handshake means golden parachutes plus extra. In golden parachutes, we only talk about monetary things, monetary aspects at the time of unexpected events. But when we talk about golden handshakes, you'll have monetary aspect, and you'll also have non-monetary aspects also, like it is kind of severance package, where you get monetary thing, as well as retirement benefits. In some cases, the organization will write letter of recommendations, and in some organizations, as a part of this golden handshake, will also try to find a new job to this particular candidate who has lost his job. So basically, and also another important thing is, see, in golden parachute, basically this particular golden parachute agreements, comes into force only when, the executive loses his job due to unexpected events like, mergers, acquisitions, and all these things, right? Whereas the golden handshake, some organizations offer golden handshakes even after, basically the employee retired from the organization. Not every, not always that, he loses his job because of mergers, acquisitions, but to also, in some cases, to also the people who have served in their organization and retired, for them also some organizations basically use these golden handshakes. So golden parachutes plus extra, that means the monetary part plus non-monetary part also, basically combinedly, is generally represented as golden handshakes. Non-monetary aspects, in the sense we are talking about the retirement benefits. It's not like, the different types of compensation, non-financial part, don't go there. Okay, this is just for a simple understanding. That means not only money but also some extra benefits you are getting in golden handshake when compared to the golden parachute. That is the basic, meaning of golden handshake. And these are the different instances where, the organizations bring in golden handshakes, and this is the basic difference between golden parachute and golden handshake. So these are the different miscellaneous topics. See, we can actually go in depth in each and every of the miscellaneous topics, and there will be a hell lot of information that we have to learn. But since this is just a, basic fundamentals kind of thing, so I was just giving you a basic idea, so that when you go into the interview room, or when when you go to any objective kind of examinations, and you face these kind of questions, you will just have a basic idea of, what is this concept and what actually it means. Okay, so these are the basic miscellaneous, topics that you need to know before, getting into an interview room, or, before entering into an organization. So in today's class, which is the third and the final part of the compensation management, which is compensation management part 3, we have started this class by, discussing about what are the different components of compensation. That means what are the different components that you basically find in compensation, or in salary structures, or in wage structures in organization. And then next we moved on to the next topic, which is the different types or different forms of compensation, where we looked after, the different types of compensation. We learned that, see, this compensation is basically divided into two types, or basically two forms or two categories. The first one is something called as financial compensation, and the second one is something called as non-financial compensation. And within the financial compensation, we again told that, see, this particular financial compensation is again subdivided into two other types. The first one is called as direct compensation, and the second one is called as indirect compensation, where the direct compensation, relates to all the components in the compensation which are direct monetary values, and the indirect compensation relates to all the, components in the compensation package which have monetary value, but they are, given to these employees in an indirect way. That means they don't come in the form of money, they come in other forms. Now we also told that, the second form, or the second type of compensation is non-financial compensation, where, you will be having different components which do not have any monetary value but have value, like, recognitions, promotions, including the employees in, management decisions and all these things. And then we moved on to the last, topic, which is generally the miscellaneous topics of compensation, some of the most commonly used topics of compensation. And there we had, certain basic, only basic discussions regarding to, what do you mean by strategic compensation, what do you mean by executive compensation, what do you mean by employee stock ownership plans, and what do you mean by broadbanding. And then we also looked after what do you mean by golden parachutes, golden handshakes, and golden handcuffs. Okay, so till now we have basically conducted three different classes related to compensation management, that is part 1, part 2, part 3. And we'll stop here. Relating to the basics and fundamentals of, compensation management, we should stop here, because there is an entire subject called as compensation management, as I already told you in the earlier parts of the earlier classes, that once you go in depth of each and every concept here, you are basically entering that particular subject. So just for the basics and fundamentals, we'll stop here. And also this is the last part, not only for compensation but also for the entire subject of human resource management. Now from the next class onwards, we will be starting the new subject, which is human resource development. Now hope you like all the videos or all the units that we have covered till now. Now if you like the videos, please like, share, and subscribe. And let's continue in the next class. We'll stop here. Thank you.